We all recognize the silhouette, the crown, the pearls, and that unwavering gaze on our stamps and coins. But what happened when the palace doors closed and the weight of the St. Edward's crown was set aside? Did you know the Queen once suffered a breakdown so profound she vanished from public view? Or that she once stared down an assassin's barrel, fearing not for her own life, but for Prince Philip's? Today, we're delving into Robert Hardman's extraordinary insights. This isn't just a royal chronicle, it's the visceral inside story of the woman behind the monarch. To truly understand Elizabeth, one must start with her father, King George VI. Robert Hardman's access to private diaries reveals that her entire reign was, in essence, a continuous act of love for Papa. George VI was a man thrust into a role he never sought, navigating the existential dread of the Blitz. Elizabeth watched him closely. She didn't just inherit a throne, she inherited a philosophy of soldiering on. Throughout every crisis, from Suez to Brexit, her private mantra was, "What would my father have done?" Her resilience wasn't merely a character trait, it was a sacred promise kept to a man who died far too young. 1969 is often remembered for the glittering investiture of Prince Charles at Caernarfon Castle, but Hardman shatters the illusion of perfection. Behind the scenes, the Queen was under siege. Between the rise of Welsh separatist threats and the unprecedented intrusion of documentary cameras into her private life, the sovereign hit a wall. Hardman breaks the long-hidden story of her nervous exhaustion. For the only time in her 70-year reign, she cancelled the Christmas broadcast. It was a rare moment where the relentless demand of the modern world proved too heavy even for her shoulders. She wasn't just tired, she was a woman whose privacy had been traded for publicity, and it nearly broke her. The British concept of stiff upper lip was never more tested than in the early 80s. In 1981, during Trooping the Colour, 6 shots rang out. The world marvelled as she calmed her horse, Burmese, and rode on. But Hardman reveals the harrowing truth. The Queen was convinced Prince Philip had been assassinated behind her. She refused to look back, terrified of what she might see, yet she never broke rank. Then came Michael Fagan, the barefoot intruder who breached her bedroom. While the police bungled the response, the Queen's composure was absolute. She engaged a confused, dangerous man in conversation for 10 minutes. Most remarkably, she hosted a public investiture just 3 hours later. She understood that the firm doesn't stop for terror. The hats and shoes were bought, the people were waiting, and she would not let them down. 1992 was her horrible year. 3 of her children's marriages were in tatters, and her beloved Windsor Castle was engulfed in flames. Hardman provides a poignant new perspective on her famous Annus Horribilis speech. Listeners heard a raspy, frail voice. We now know she was physically suffering from smoke inhalation and a heavy cold, but the frailty was also emotional. This wasn't a queen demanding loyalty. It was a mother pleading for a modicum of understanding while her family and her home were quite literally burning down. In the twilight of her reign, the storms grew more personal. Hardman discusses the degradation of Prince Andrew and the painful departure of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. The Queen viewed Harry's public revelations as a profound betrayal, not of the institution, but of a shared childhood. Yet what pained her most was the critique of the Commonwealth. It was her life's work, her family of nations. To see it dismissed by her own grandson was a heavy burden to carry into her final years. Even then, her pragmatism prevailed. She quietly removed the titles and the status, protecting the crown from the scandals of the individuals. So, what is the final word on Elizabeth II? Robert Hardman suggests her greatest feat was the normalization of the monarchy. She navigated the greatest social upheaval in British history without ever losing her majesty. She was a woman who could take a cup of tea to her dresser, Bobo MacDonald, in a role reversal of affection, yet command the respect of every world leader from Churchill to Biden. She didn't want to be a celebrity. She was a servant. She remained the anchor in a century of chaos, proving that while empires may fall and families may fracture, The duty, capital D, remains. She was, quite simply, the last of the greats.